but have another coin as the last one got screwed. Oh, now I get what you're saying. He's just trying to pivot to something else. I can see why you would think that. I will disagree though. Just to play devil's advocate. I mean, I respectfully disagree with you, although I can understand why you would feel that way. There's no denying that the execution on GLX, right? Or sorry, GLS as a platform has been very poor, right? And I'm not trying to throw blame because I don't know all the inner workings and politics and stuff like that, and I don't know how everything went down. I know there's a lot of hardworking people, but just both in Splinterlands and GLS side, things did not pan out, right? If you just look at it from an objective scale, right? Like, did they achieve X, Y, and Z that they said they were going to do? They absolutely did not. So that's what I'm basing it off of. Now, I can understand why you would feel that way, based on the execution or lack thereof. But since last summer, which is crazy to think about, it was back in July when they teased Arcade Colony. So Aggie was still very much in a, leadership position, CEO position. And on top of that, they were talking about this stuff already. Like, we thought the the GLG game was right around the corner. I think in July they launched the kind of open beta for it. And so I would say no, simply because they had the idea for that back then. And, shout out to Aggie. Again, I'm not saying that Aggie's done everything right. In fact, we know and can all probably objectively agree that he has not done everything right. But I've always looked at Aggie as a very big thinker. And I want to throw the term visionary out there, but I think that's going to rub people the wrong way. So I'm just going to say he's a very big thinker, right? He thinks in like different levels rather than just like small intermediate steps. And maybe that's probably why he needs somebody to better execute the small intermediate steps, right? Again, just maybe that's just me saying that, right? But in terms of seeing the broader picture, in terms of like seeing how to bring the masses into something and how to build something for the masses, I think, there's nobody better in this kind of Splinterlands space to do that. And so I genuinely think like he's had that idea for Arcade Colony and making it easy to onboard not just people into crypto, not just users, but literally games and projects. And so, in the same way that I was super hyped for GLS, I'm super hyped for Arcade Colony now. But once again, it's going to come down to execution. Can he execute on the vision? Because GLS, even with all of the missteps, in my opinion, still has so much potential. If they can just find a way to execute and get things actually going off the ground, and maybe GLG is just not going to be it, right? Maybe they need to pivot and do something else because people just don't like it. But what I like about Arcade Colony, as opposed to GLG, right? As opposed to the GLG, is that his goal or his aim is to get other people to do the work, right? And again, this is not me throwing shade on the team, but it's like literally like, hey, we're building the platform. You do all the work over there, and if you want to make your thing Web3, you can come to us, and then we can quickly do X, Y, and Z because we've done a nice little cookie cutter system, and you can have your game be part of this cool little ecosystem here. Now, again, it's still going to come down to execution, but there's a lot less execution that he needs to do for Arcade Colony because everybody else is doing the building, right? He's just doing, or not him, but like the Arcade Colony team or Invenium team is just going to they'll be the ones focusing on, the integration stuff, which is not trivial. I don't want to downplay that. But if you can understand what I'm saying, like, there's a lot less requirements in terms of like lower level execution, right? Like literally building something from the ground up. He doesn't have to do that. The team doesn't have to do that. You can get people who are passionate about building whatever the hell they want to do. Like one of you guys, I'm going to shout out Virus or shout out, other folks. You can go and build a game and then probably approach Aggie and see like, hey, is there a way that we can get this onto Arcade Colony, right? It's a fun Web 2 game. There's no tokenomics behind it, but can we add something, right? Can we make it into something that has that appeal? And so I'm hoping again, that the collaborative nature of Arcade Colony will make things much easier for it to grow. And at this point in time, like I said, I mean, I'm still bullish on GLS long term if they can turn it around. But that requires the team, which has been stripped down twice, right? November 2022 layoffs, September 2023 layoffs. So it's been stripped down twice. It requires them to do everything. Whereas now in the future with something like Arcade Colony, they don't have to do that. They can approach other people can approach them. And, it's just a matter of integrating it appropriately and having it all make sense. So in a way, like, I mean, I'm very bullish on Arcade Colony because, in certain ways, like it's set up to kind of avoid some of the missteps or the, delays and things like that GLS had. And to be completely fair, right now that Aggie is completely off of Splinterlands and Matt is completely off of GLS, like it's probably better for them, right? And I know maybe it wasn't the easiest thing for them to do, but it's probably better for them to just be focused on whatever it is that they want to build, right? Like at this point in time, this will be the last thing that I'll say on that, right? At this point in time, Arcade Colony has taken my hype in terms of scaling what I think a blockchain platform blockchain gaming platform on Hive could be. It is by far the highest on my list. There is no like second place is so low, and second place isn't even Splinterlands. It would still be GLS, right? Because the direction that Matt has taken in the game, Splinterlands, especially with the lack of focus on Soul Keep and whatever, it's not about building out a platform of games, right? So again, there's not me throwing shade at Matt. He's just taken the game in a very different direction, which was hard for me to stomach early on because I believed in the big vision that Aggie was trying to put out there. But to that point, maybe Splinterlands was never the appropriate platform to do that on. Regardless of like Matt and Aggie's differences, maybe Splinterlands was just never the proper platform to do that on. Whereas Arcade Colony doesn't have to come with that baggage, doesn't have to come with the complexity of Splinterlands, and can just do it from scratch. So, I'm very excited for what it could be. And the fact that they've already gotten a game ready to go, built by an outside team, that's tremendous, right? Again, we have to wait and see how the game works. I want to wait and see how the white paper is. But if you're just asking me at this, moment in time for a snapshot of my feelings in terms of like what has the absolute potential to just be a monster, Splinterlands is third on the list. Actually, I'll put Splinterlands second, right? And I'm not trying to be bearish on Splinterlands. I love the game. I'm just trying to say that in the context of can this thing rip roar to 100,000, 1 million users? I don't think it's going to be Splinterlands anymore. And I'm just being brutally honest with that. And I think if you were to ask Matt, I mean, I don't think that Matt would disagree either. Man, I don't want to put words in his mouth, right? But like, that's not the way he's building Splinterlands, right? It's a niche game built for niche people who understand what he's trying to do with land and all this stuff. But it's very complex, it's very complicated, and there's a lot of folks, people like us who are absolutely obsessed and want to be a part of that. But in terms of getting like the 50,000, 100,000, 1 million players, I don't think Splinterlands is ever going to be that. Not as a game, not as a platform. Whereas GLS and Arcade Colony very much can be.